and my daddy was black, and his daddy was black. So, Mr. Officer, no, I can't help that. Won't you look at the facts? Tell me who's in charge. By the look on your face, the rules differ with ours. Rather see us in cars, wasting money at bars, filling lumps of cigars, living under the bar. But distract us with lights, make me feel like a star. If I spend it today, then no hope for tomorrow. It's the system we live, got me pinned to piss. Still taking my shot, what if I don't miss? Can't live life like this, man, there's gotta be more. Yesterday I was drowning, now I'm climbing the shore. With this mic I grip, till the beats in the morgue. Got the world on my chest, but I'm only a George. Devil telling me stress, so I pray to the Lord. They think life is a game, well don't play on my board. No, 10, no, 4. Chin up, hold your head high. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did dirt just to get by. Chin up, hold your head high. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did. And my mama was black, and her mama was black. She got an army, in fact. That's my family, my pack. We spread over the map, but Lord knows where we at. Like a trick of a hat, I keep pulling these words, and I know that they feeling me. I keep pulling these nerves. They follow while I'm shopping, man, this king got me cursed. You would think that's the worst, but it follows his birth. I've been stuck on reverse, I just wanna be first, hoping everything lasts. Running from defeat with my feet on the path. Niggas want beef till we meet on the path. Got me on a days, it's been weeks on the path. I just keep walking with the world on my back. Quarter pound of Mary just to make me relax. I don't roll them dice, life is more than just craps. Jay-Z said they hate me cause I'm young and I'm black. Don't know where I'm headed, I'm designing the map. Chin up, hold your head high. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did dirt just to get by. We all did dirt.
All right, there we go. All right, guys, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in for our second episode, Talking Diction, the social media experiment. I have a really, really interesting guest today. He's appeared on the Kelly Clarkson show. He also has been on People.com. He's a mutual friend, and I feel blessed that I was able to have somebody of his magnitude on the show. He's been in recovery for a long time. 3 years into his recovery, he actually hit a man that was riding his bike, and the man reached out to him. The man that got hit on the bicycle, they reached out to this man and offered him forgiveness, and he truly believes that that would not have been achieved if he wasn't sober. He knows for a fact that if he was not sober when he hit that guy, he probably would have drove away, which would have landed him in jail. But he stayed true to his sobriety. Please give a warm welcome and stick around to hear some more about the Greater Than Addiction Foundation after this interview. We got a great show tonight, and yeah, alright, let's get into it. First interview of the night. Alright, guys, thank you for joining in. We got a really interesting person on the show right now. He's been featured on the Kelly Clarkson show, People.com. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jack Keith. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, and have struggled with alcoholism and addiction for most of my adult life till about 6+ years ago. And yeah, so I've had 6 years clean and sober. My sobriety date is March 15th, 2017. I have a sponsor, I have a home group, and I'm just trying to carry the message.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. Gonna be asking some questions. They're usually aimed for whatever state that the person is living in. So I'm gonna be asking those questions to you right now. All right.
Okay.
Have you or someone close to you been personally impacted by addiction in California? How has it affected you or your
Yes.
family?
Most of my family was affected by me being addicted, and yeah, it affected everyone around me in a big way, especially my family who cares about me an awful lot. Um, so yes.
Okay.
And you ask how were they affected?
Yeah. How has it affected your family?
Well, when I was in my addiction, it affected everyone in a negative way. Just I was being deceitful and dishonest and self-centered and self-seeking and um, and just didn't bring a lot of light and love to everyone during those times.
Yeah, I understand, man. I struggled with alcohol and cocaine myself. I like to party. I was fortunate. I never really stepped into opiate use, which is surprising because my state is kind of like overran by heroin and fentanyl.
That's kind of what's happening here. Yeah, for me it started gradually with alcohol and then some cocaine, and then one day I magically graduated to methamphetamines for 7 years.
Jeez.
So yeah, ended up homeless with nothing. Yeah, so yeah, I've done opiates, and yeah, today I have a healthy fear of everything.
Yep, I understand that. All right, so the next question coming up. What do you think is the most significant factors contributing to the addiction issues in New Hampshire? I mean, in California, sorry.
The most contributing factor is probably that it's so readily available. Um, I mean, if because fentanyl was never an issue. I mean, opiates have been an issue, but I mean, it's people that struggle with addiction, at least in my experience. The more accessible something is, the more they're going to use it. You know what I mean? And so, um, California being so close to the border, it's pretty accessible everywhere.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that. Yeah, we're so in New Hampshire, we're so far away from the border. We actually get a lot of drugs from Canada, which is weird.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that is weird.
so yeah, two different aspects of the border, huh? You guys
Yes,
have obviously Mexico, which is bringing in the statistics speak for themselves, bringing in substantial amounts of fentanyl from China. Um,
yes.
so I can't even imagine that situation down there. It's pretty bad up here, but yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, being in recovery, um, you hear about deaths all the time, and it's a lot more nowadays with fentanyl around.
yep,
It's just you hear about it every week.
yep. All right, so how do you feel about available resources and support for those struggling with addiction in the state of California?
I feel like we have a lot of programs in California. My friend's house, who I was at his meeting last night, he owns Surf City Recovery in Huntington Beach, and just in Orange County. I mean, I know of so many recovery centers and some state funded. You know what I mean? Some privately funded, but there are many resources in California for someone that's looking to make some changes in their lives.
It's good to hear. It's actually very surprising when I did a small TikTok advertisement campaign. A lot of the people that were engaging in my content were in California, and
Okay.
that just speaks for itself. You know, there's a lot of people in California looking for recovery. I mean, they're clicking on links from a recovery place in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've met just at my buddy's rehab. I mean, everybody that's in there seems like they're from the Midwest or East Coast that come to his treatment center. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of recovery here and a lot of good recovery here.
That's good to hear. I'm hoping that we can ignite some change on the East Coast and start getting better facilities and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm aiming to do here. Just kind of spreading awareness overall and hoping to just change some lives. So,
Well, it seems like you're on the right path. So, I mean, kudos to you for even taking the time out of your life to try to start a nonprofit and do a bunch of things that you've probably never done before. You know what I mean? It takes a you know
yeah,
it's
it's definitely been a wild road from just filing and creating my articles of incorporation, getting those passed by the state of New Hampshire, and filing for my 501c. It's been a lot, uh, and people actually still talk shit like I'm not doing enough. I've been like one person doing every
you
single
know
job in this company.
there's always going to be those people, but you know what I mean. It's nobody does this thing perfect. Nobody does life perfect. Nobody does the program perfect. But if you know, um, you're just doing what you can, and then people are going to say what they're going to say. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. All right, next question. Have you witnessed any positive change or initiatives in California that are helping individuals on the path to recovery?
I haven't been too involved in like the initiatives or the laws or any of that stuff. Not as much as like some of my friends who are actually run rehabs, but as as far as I can see, I mean, California has always been always has had always has had. I can't even talk right now. Um, Opportunities for people who are looking to make changes in their lives. I've never seen someone that can't get into a treatment center of some kind, whether they can afford it or not. Like there's a lot of places that I go to panels and speak, and some are privately ran, privately funded, and some are state funded, and there seems like there's access to everything here in California. But as far as initiatives, personally, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I appreciate you being honest and saying,
Yeah.
no. A lot of people would just come up with some random bullshit to tell me, so I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no.
All right. So if you feel comfortable sharing, do you have any personal experiences with addiction, and what was helpful or challenging during that process?
Yeah, like my whole life, my mom was 15 when she had me. I was 2 when my dad shot himself, and we lived in the projects in North Long Beach. So my whole childhood was kind of interesting, you know. I had a kid for mom, and I mean, she did the best she could with what she knew, but I didn't have a lot of structure. I didn't have someone to guide me, so it ended up with me. I mean, I did do good in school when I did go, but I always had problems in my home life growing up, and so I mean, it led me to drinking, like most people do when they're in high school parties. You start drinking, and smoking pot, and I did that for a while, and then it just progressed into drinking and coke through my 20s, and then my 30s. It kept going. It just progressively got worse, and then I ended up. At one point, I ended up in federal prison for 8 months. Um, got out, finished that, and got my life was kind of going good, and then I got into, and it always came back to drinking and doing coke, and then at one point I graduated to doing methamphetamines, and that really, it was all bad, but that took me down a whole different path, and I did that consistently for 7 years till one day I got arrested for possession, and I was in jail for 5 days, and on the fifth day, I was fighting, I was yelling, calling them names. They had to put me in my own cell because I was just causing a scene. And after 5 days, I finally got some sleep, and I had not been off dope for 7 years. And I had a little taste of recovery before then, so I knew people in the program. But on that day, on day 5, when I woke up, finally had some sleep, and I've been separated from drugs for 5 days. I had like a moment of clarity where I just looked up and said, man, God, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I need help. And then from that day, I've been sober. And I reached out to some people that I knew in the program, started going to meetings with them, and I've been sober ever since. And my life has changed dramatically. I'm a superintendent. I run commercial construction jobs. I have my own place 2 blocks from the beach. I have a new truck. I go on surf trips. I have an amazing group of sober friends that I spend my time with, and we do a lot of amazing things today. My life is so good because I surrendered and I asked for help, and I took suggestions, and I don't do this thing perfectly by any means, but I keep doing it. I keep trying to stay consistent with it, and my life, even though I'm not doing it perfectly, my life just continues to get better. And I've had some hardships during recovery. I almost killed a guy when I was driving home from a meeting along the beach, and I hit him in my truck, and I was going like 70, and he was on his bike, and I had 2 years sober at that time, and that whole experience ended with me visiting him in the hospital, us becoming friends. I raised some money for him, and doing all these things. I like, if that would have happened before I was sober, I would have ran and probably ended up in prison. But I believe because I stopped and I wanted to do the right thing, and it's that whole experience. We ended up on TV shows sharing our story, and I'm still friends with him and his family today. And I've just been able to walk through stuff like that, and to see what happens when I do walk through stuff instead of my old habit of just running from everything. And I've had some other things, like I was engaged to be married a year ago and lived in a nice house, and 30 days before the wedding, everything kind of fell apart, and I had to move out and start over. But I have my support crew, I have my program, and I'm just able to walk through life's problems. Like, the coping skills I have today are far better than the ones I had back in the day. And it's just, it's an amazing life, this recovery, and being able to get your disease of addiction or alcoholism, and being able to work these steps to be able to maintain a healthy, productive life.
Yeah, that's amazing that you stayed sober from all of that. I was reading about your story online on people.com, and it's an amazing story, man. It made me tear up, made Kelly Clarkson tear up. That guy that you hit, I'll be honest with you, man. If I was that guy, I'd be like, fuck that guy. And
Yeah.
and he it's amazing. I can't.
Yeah, that family is like one of a kind. Yeah, they've never made me feel weird or anything. They've always it's just and me and him have this weird like trauma bond connection. I guess I don't know, but we're definitely friends for life. And I haven't visited them lately. They don't live too far, but I visit them sometimes. And even when I do a surprise visit, that's just like they're all just super happy to see me. And it's just one of those gifts that you get when you try to change your life and start trying to live a good life. And I mean, like I said, that I would probably been in prison if that would have happened 2 years prior. Um, and it's funny, my friends are like, "Dude, you're the only one that can almost kill somebody and become famous." And it's like, I don't know. It's not me. It's my higher power. It's my higher power working in my life.
Well, I'm glad that it's working, man, because it's obvious something's clicking. And
Yeah.
recently, when I started this whole company, I felt like something was clicking too. I've had a lot of backlash, I had a lot of setbacks, but I'm just keeping it rolling, and I can only pray that this is gonna help somebody out there. Hearing stories of resilience and overcoming real life situations and staying sober, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, man. You're really an inspiration to many.
Well, I
Uh,
appreciate that. Thank you very much, Doug.
no problem. All right. So how do you think the stigma surrounding addiction impacts individuals seeking help or treatment?
The stigma. I don't know. California's a crazy place. It's very liberal in a sense that um, they're all about social programs. You know what I mean? I live in a more conservative part in Huntington Beach, but it seems like the stigma, whatever stigmas are out there, whether it's publicly or it's like I said, there's so many resources here that I don't think that any stigma, either whether publicly or somebody has personally, can prevent somebody from trying to get into recovery here. There's just so many opportunities. There's so many choices you have here for
That's
for for that.
that's amazing. I really appreciate you coming on and being in a whole other state, because and I like that I'm asking the same questions, because it really
Yeah,
shows you how different the states can be. It's
yeah.
very fascinating to me, because the person I had on before you, he's actually a rapper in the New Hampshire area, and he was like, I had nowhere to go.
Uh, yeah. I mean, maybe that's why I see so many people from out of town in California recovery centers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think we have it good here when it comes to recovery and meetings and so yeah, like I haven't experienced it in other states, but hopefully you're on the track of helping New Hampshire get to where we're at.
Yeah. And that's my initiative. Yeah, it's a lot. Uh,
Yeah, I'm just sitting on my lunch break talking to you right now in my truck. Yeah, so it's all like
well, I
you
really
know,
appreciate you giving me your lunchtime.
yeah, no worries. I just hope that maybe something we say or something I said or we said resonates with somebody, and that if they're looking for help, that they put their hand out, because I know when I put my hand out, there's people to take it to help me. So the help is there. You just gotta, I hope something resonates with somebody.
Yeah. Uh, Hopefully you can do some of that with this next question. How has addiction and recovery from addiction influenced your perception on mental health and overall well-being?
Ask me that again. Sorry.
It's all good. How has addiction and recovery from addiction influenced your perception of mental health and overall well-being?
Um, Let me see. Um, so not prepared. Um, for me, the disease of addiction centers in the mind. You know what I mean? And in our mental health and our insanity, and when we're living in that insanity, and we're not definitely not mentally well. Um, the first step is to separating yourself from the drugs, and then working a program. And it's a constant state of trying to enlarge your spiritual life. Um, I can still get into bad mental states being 6+ years sober if I'm isolating and in my head and listening to my head and the things it's telling me. It can tell me my life is shit and I have no friends. It can tell me all these things that aren't true. And if I'm in my head listening to it, then it's what I have to do to stay mentally well and in a good state of mind is staying consistent and in the program and not isolating and being a part of and most importantly trying to help other people. And luckily I have a large support group. I have surfing, which is my happy place. I'm in the ocean quite a bit, which is huge for my mental health. But I'm not sure if that was where you were going with that question, but that's just kind of what came out.
Hey man, it's all good. I thought it was a great answer. I wish I could go surfing. It looks really fun. There's like some places in New England you can go surfing, but I don't know. I used to go to Hollister, so I don't know. Huntington Beach
Yeah,
always looked cool.
it's probably a little colder where you're at, so in the water. Um, but yeah, no, I have a sober crew that I go surfing with, and recently we started playing pickleball, and like we've been going and playing pickleball a couple times a week, and like.
For some reason, that's getting huge, and people are hating it. I actually see on the news, it's like old people complaining about the noise. It's like, who
uh,
freaking cares? It's
it,
pickleball.
it's fun. I don't know. I thought it was for old people, and then I started playing it, and it's like everybody's playing it.
Well,
And
hell yeah.
yeah, so it's like you just got to find a whole new way of life when you're coming from addiction, and if you get to the program and you work the steps and you get a sponsor and you put your hand out to the next person, your life is going to get good beyond what you could imagine. And it's just I'm super grateful for everything I have in my life right now.
That's what I like to hear, man. All right, we got one last question for you, and then I'll let you finish up your lunch. Um, what would you say to someone who may be struggling with addiction and feeling unsure about seeking help?
If if you're struggling with addiction, the best thing you can do is seek help. And there's going to be 1,000 things that go through your head that, not today, let's do it tomorrow. And tomorrow turns into the next day and the next day. Or fear of the unknown, 1,000 different forms of fear coming through your head of not, how am I going to survive with, go through the withdrawals or whatever. All I know is from my own experience. The day that I gave up and said, I need help, and I put my hand out, there was a hand to take it. And so, if you're struggling with asking for help, I mean, it's part of the whole process is humbling yourself enough to tell somebody you need help and you're willing to do whatever it takes. And if you get to that point, you're going to be happy with what happens after that.
Beautifully said. All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us. Stick around so we can actually talk after I wrap it
Okay.
up on here. Um, and thank you guys for viewing. Please give us a like, share, and comment if you like the content that we just created. Um, And yeah, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Let me turn up my mic. There we go. So you guys just heard was a interview between me and Jack Keith. It's an incredible story, and we need to start shedding some light on some stories like this. This man remained sober after running another man over. Um, I think that's crazy. Uh, that he was able to remain sober during something so tragic like that. It's even more amazing that he befriended the man. They're good friends now. And he truly believes that that would never have been accomplished if he wasn't sober. It just blows my mind, and I really enjoy being able to talk to people like this. Really being able to share um, hope and resilience and stuff that our community desperately needs. I'd also like to allocate some time to talk about some major differences that we we have received from the differences of treatment centers in California and New Hampshire. Last week we had George Vance Hope the Rapper on the show. He's in New Hampshire. He's been in recovery for a little bit over a year now, I believe. I'm not really too sure. Um, George said that when he wanted to get help, he didn't know where to go. That is a common issue I keep seeing in New Hampshire. There's not enough people talking about recovery. There's not a lot of people talking about options in recovery. In California, apparently they're all over the place. What can we do different in New Hampshire to have treatment regularly available to our citizens? What are we not doing? These are tough questions that I really believe that our governor needs to start addressing. Because as far as I've seen it in New Hampshire, you only get treatment if your addiction progresses into opiate use. Why is that happening? We need to start asking a lot of questions. And I think this is a great platform for us to be able to do this. We have grown exponentially fast since launching this program in this company. Uh, I thought it was a good idea bringing somebody in from California because I can actually show you guys what information I've gathered on just a small advertising campaign on TikTok. Very small. Alright, it's making me do a freaking test. And I'm just going to show you guys some alarming data that is given to me from TikTok. Hold on, it's making me do all this questionnaire shit. What the hell? Alright, here we go. Finally. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, so this is TikTok. This was the ad I ran. Super simple. Let's go over to analytics, video insights, audience insights. So this is going to show us some pretty wild information. Uh, it shows me basically our audience, people that are engaging in our content and stuff like that. It's basically 50-50 right now. More females are apparently enjoying our content more. The age is actually almost exactly the same for males and females all the way across the board here. 25 to 34 is our target audience. Countries, but this is why I went with California. For some reason, we are more engaged in California than any other state in the country. Why? Um, I think it's because people in California are more actively searching addiction treatment because it's more regularly available, as we just learned. So this is a really good topic that we should be looking into. Um, I could see what people have for devices. Apparently, people like Android less than iOS. More people are using iPhones that are interested in recovery options. Um, and this is another very interesting fact. A lot of people that are engaging in our content also enjoy video games. I was addicted to video games, so it makes a lot of sense. And that's basically all video games across the board. What are people least interested in that like our information is baby formula, financing, coffee, law. That's interesting. So yeah, this is just a small advertisement campaign I ran on TikTok. This is the information we gathered for our target audience, people in California for some reason. So I gave that a shot in this video. I'm gonna be running more advertisements on other platforms like YouTube, Google, and really start showing you guys really the information behind power of data and what I can gather from my audience on just basic campaigns. It's super interesting. Stay tuned for next week's video. If you guys liked this, go ahead and give us a like, a share, comment. Let us know how we're doing. And thank you for coming.